everyone. I'm Miss Heather from the Tewksbury Public Library, and I'd like to welcome you back to Little Einsteins Science. Today we'll be stepping back under our STEM umbrella and we'll be talking about a math concept, measuring. So for this, you really don't need too much. You just need some paper, and I cut mine out to be about 12 inches long and to look like a foot. I'm really leaning into the theme here. I also cut some string, and this string here is probably about 17 or 18 inches long. I cut it a little bit longer than I would need it so that I can go back and trim it down if I need to. I also have some 1-inch straw pieces that we'll be using to make a ruler of our very own. So I have 12 of these. And as a bonus, you don't have to have these, but if you do, they're very useful to have. I have some large wooden beads that I'll use to hold all of my straw pieces onto my ruler that I'll be making. And I also have some scissors, because like I mentioned before, you might need to do a little bit of trimming. So gather any materials that you might need, and then meet me right back here. All right, the first thing you want to do is get one 12-inch long piece of paper. It doesn't have to be cut out to look like a foot, but it is a little bit more fun that way. And once you have this one piece of paper, you can go around and measure all sorts of different things and see what objects might be about the same length or the same distance up and down as the foot. And right now we're just using one of our foot pieces of paper, and this is because we want to learn to recognize objects that are just about 1 foot long. So once we've mastered sort of finding objects that are about 1 foot, then we can move on and we can use multiple feet to measure objects in multiple feet long. So now I could measure something that would be 2 feet long. If I use a third one, I can measure something that might be 3 feet long. So you have a recording sheet in your bag. You can use that to record things that you measure and record how long it was, how many feet long, and also you could draw a picture of it and also say what it was. And if you don't have one of these sheets, that's okay. You can make up a sheet of your own and just record things that way. As you get more comfortable with measuring, you could also turn your foot sideways and measure the width of things, how wide something is. You can use multiple feet to measure width as well. So you could measure things in 2 feet or 3 feet, depending on how many feet you have. You could also even measure the circumference or how big something is around using the string. So I've gone ahead and measured the circumference around my water cup here. And there's so many different things you can measure and so many different things you can explore and see just how big they are. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is make a ruler. So this is where you need a piece of string and your straw pieces. Let's get those out and we'll get started. Now it's time to make a ruler of our very own. So you need a piece of yarn. Mine is a little bit oversized, but that's because I want to be able to tie my wooden beads onto the ends. And then I have 12 1-inch long straw pieces. And so what I'll do here is I am going to use a piece of tape on the ends so that it will make it a lot easier when I go to string through the small bead and the small straw pieces, and it will be a lot less frustrating having a little bit more of a stiffer end to work with. So I just put a little piece of tape right around the end here and I pushing it down, and that will really help me when it comes time to string all my things on. So to get the wooden bead to hold the straw pieces on, you can string the yarn through, and then I just like to try to keep it as close to the end as possible so you know that you have plenty of yarn to work with. And then I cross my pieces almost like I'm tying a shoe, and then I loop it through and I pull, and then I cross them again almost like I'm tying a shoe to make that double knot, and I pull it through really tightly so that this bead will help me hold my straw pieces on. And now I'm going to put some tape on the other end of my yarn because it's time to string on all those little 1-inch pieces. And again, I'm just putting some tape on. I start from the edge to make it a little bit easier for myself, and then I just sort of roll it around, and then I trim off the extra. And then I pinch it all in because sometimes there's a little piece of sticky tape that's still sticking up right there. So now I'll get all my straw pieces on. This is a great way for kids to learn to visualize what 1 inch looks like. And by having some different colored straw pieces, it really helps to visualize how many inches something might be. And so this is just a great tool for learning to measure and just understanding what a ruler is, how it works, what it's used for, why it's set up the way it is, all those good things. And I definitely encourage you to have as much discussion with your kids and with your grown-ups as possible, and just talk together all about measuring and learning, because it makes it more fun. All right, so I'm getting all my straw pieces right on here. And I have plenty of yarn left over to tie on my other wooden bead. So I'll go ahead and do that now, and I'll do it the same way. I'll string my bead through, and I'm gonna put it really as close to the straw pieces as possible. And I'm holding it like this so that it gives the straw pieces plenty of room, but it also keeps it on the tighter side. All right. And once you're ready, again, we'll do like we did before, tying that knot. And then you can check and see, do you need to make it tighter or looser? I think mine needs to be a little bit tighter. I have a little gap in here, so I can just slide the bead down, pull it tight again, and this looks a lot better, so I will finish up with my double knot. All right, so now I have myself a ruler, and I can go around and measure different things with this ruler, and this will help me be able to understand inches a little bit better and understand the length of something. Today in Little Einsteins, we talked about the math concept of measuring. We learned some ways to recognize things that are just 1 foot in length. We learned some ways to measure things that are multiple feet in length. And we also made a ruler of our very own so that we can learn to recognize inches and also to understand sort of what makes up a ruler and why it is set up the way it is. Thank you so much for tuning in and joining with Little Einsteins today. Hope you subscribe to our channel, then you get notifications of all our new videos, and then you won't miss anything. Thanks again for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day.